World, this is Alexander Playtime Williams of PlaytimeCares.com, and I'm giving you my second recap of Empire. If you caught last week's recap, I have never watched Empire, but I refuse. I would tell you, I refuse to look at the other episodes. I'm not doing it. So I picked it up from last week. Unto the Breach was the name of that episode. Very well written. So I said, okay, I'll keep going. This week's episode was entitled Sins of Our Father. And based off of the intro, they showed me Raven Simone's character. I was like, oh, cool. Raven was on there. I wonder what she had to do with anything. And let's see, what was her character's name? It was Olivia. So I was curious to know what it was that they actually, what role she had to actually play. And then within the first 2 minutes, Mary J. Blige popped up and Jennifer Hudson. So I'm like, well, cool. What did I really miss? But I'm still not going to watch those other episodes. I just can't. Playtime cares, but I don't have enough time to play with old episodes and stuff. I just have to roll with the punches on this one. I know it's crazy to do a review like that, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you all of everything that it is that you need to know about this week's episode. So it pretty much picked up with Andre in the actual, in a rehabilitation center or whatever the case may be. You know, him and his family is around him waiting to help him. They're waiting on Lucius. Lucius did not show up. Cookie is disgusted about it. Oh, don't do this, Lucius. Lucius didn't show up to be supportive of Andre during his time of need in the hospital. So all of the family members that's there, including his wife, are there, and they're telling them that he's a good guy and that record company would not have been the success it was if it wasn't his brain work that went into it, especially with the IPO idea that's going to make them all a lot of money. So this is Cookie's first exposure to her son being mentally unstable, and she's not taking it very well. The term bipolar disorder really messes her up, and she's like, no, that's a white person's disease. My son don't have that. He's strong, yada, yada, yada. And, I mean, they had to let her know that this isn't his first rodeo with it, and it happened when he was in college, and it's something that we have been dealing with. So she, being a mom, that mother's love kicked in, and she just decided to start comforting him. And then, of course, being a mom and having that mother's love, she apologized to him for not being there for him. So it was obvious that Dre was actually upset that Lucius didn't show up, that his dad didn't show up. And they actually did do a flashback to show how Andre was when he had his first breakdown. And that's where they once again showed, that was Mary J's character. What was Mary J's character's name? Angie. That's when they first showed, they showed Angie, and Andre handed us a really expensive piece of jewelry. And he had all kind of gifts, and he was calling himself the Black Santa Claus and things of that nature. And then it made sense why last week, when he had his breakdown, he went and bought that expensive car. Is a bribery gift to keep artists on a label. I guess that's part of his coping mechanism when he have his breakdowns, is to buy expensive stuff. I guess to feel validated and wanted and needed, things of that nature. But I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm just making some outside looking in type things, and that's neither here nor there. So all his family was being really supportive of him. And what else happened? What else? Oh, and Michelle, Jennifer Hudson's character, Michelle, actually told Cookie about the musical therapy, how that actually helps Andre, and she was skeptical about that. But of course, hey, it's helping my son, so I'll allow it. So that was a really cool concept, letting her know that that music is something that really does soothe the savage beast. So they show where Lucius is at. He's with his lawyer, and I'm assuming that they're boys. And he was talking about how he was doing everything that he's doing with his IPO and stuff for family. And the lawyer friend let him know, look, if you got family, if you were so concerned about family, you have a son that's in the hospital right now, why you didn't go see him? And Lucius was like, quite frankly, he just didn't want to see his son messed up like that again. So, you can kind of sort of understand where he's coming from because, guys, we don't really handle emotion all that well and feeling powerless and all that type of stuff. So, some guys I understand, but, that's neither here nor there. And the lawyer was like, yeah, we're coming up. And Lucius was pretty much like, no, bro, we ain't coming up. I built this. I'm coming up. And the lawyer was like, oh, well, it's just you. I guess I'm just a cleanup man. Oh, you got to clean up your mistakes. I wonder what that means. They probably had this explained in old episodes, but I am not going back. Just bear with me. I'm not going back to watch the other ones. But you can always comment and let me know what everything is, and I'll read y'all stuff, and I incorporate it. Feel free to comment. So let's see what else happened. After they met up with the lawyer, no, he wanted to make sure Lucius let the lawyer know that the reason why he was reconfiguring the way he was distributing the IPO was because he wanted to marry Cookie again. And he wanted her to sign a prenup. And he figured if he was to sit there and spoil her enough at the beginning, she would sign the prenup with no issues whatsoever. So, I mean, hey, well, I'm not going to even chime in on that because that prenup, that's something else. Well, one thing that I mentioned last week is that Malcolm, the security guard in the Cookie incident was really, you have to be a strong guy to actually, sit there. The way she was throwing herself at Malcolm, you have to be a strong guy to resist that. And Malcolm this week came and said, look, I am going to stay away from you, Cookie, because, I'm falling for you. So Cookie got up and was like, what? You falling for me? You want some of these Malcolm cookies? So he was like, I do, but, boss, loyalty, all that. Cookie got up in that sundress looking right, and she kissed him, and he tasted some of them cookies. You know what I'm talking about? He got into it. I'm like, no, bruh, no, Malcolm, no, bruh. But, she looked right in that, she looked right in that dress. God protected the folks in the lion's den, but, bruh, you can't keep going back in the lion's den. Sooner or later, you're going to get bit, man. You're going to get eaten up. So, hey, he ate some cookies. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, well, some people call that a job perk. But that's neither here nor there. Well, you fast forward to Jamal making another cool song in the studios. He stopped. It was like, how is that? He talking with his significant other guy. And, the significant other guy was like, hey, when you made this song, are you really making that about yourself or is it just a song? He was like, look, my daughter, Lola, I want to be in her life. I want to raise her. I'm going to take her from my dad. Well, the partner didn't seem like he was on board with it, but that's yet to be seen. He's like, look, I don't care if you're on board with it. I'm going to talk to my dad about raising my daughter. So that's some commendable job. But then you flash back in Raven's character, Olivia. Raven's character, Olivia, actually is trying to get on the bus. And some guy named Reggie come up behind her and was like, hey, you need to come with me and you need to go get Lola. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, Lola is a nice little, pretty little chocolate baby. And Raven is light-skinned and Jamal is light-skinned and Reggie is dark-skinned. I'm like, oop, bro, she went yank this dude kid and gave it to another guy. I was like, oh, that's going to be fireworks. That's going to be fireworks, dog. So, so he made Olivia end up coming with him. And I'm waiting for that, what was going to transpire with that. Well, Olivia and Reggie end up going to the lawyer that was with Lucius earlier. And, the lawyer was hurt with Lucius' statement. So I don't know if it drove her to it, but the lawyer got some nose candy. He got some cocaine with him. And, they go over to him. You don't see him use it, but they go over to him and, they talk about Lola and seeing her and whatnot, and that, Olivia wants to be back in her life. So, they cut away from that and you go back to Andre. Andre is definitely hurt about the fact that his dad didn't come see him while he was messed up. So he told his wife, I'm not going to sign those paperwork. You're going to be, you're going to do it by proxy. I'm giving you the power of attorney. You're a proxy person. You go sign it. He don't want to see me. I don't want to see him. It was one of those type of things. So you fast forward over to Lucius. Lucius is trying to go tell Cookie, look, I want to marry you. He's trying to tell her that, but then Jamal walks in, interrupt, let him know, Dad, I want to raise my kid. I'm taking him from your house, and I want to raise my kid. And Lucius like, say, bro, I don't want you raising her in that type of household. She see you with these guys is wrong, is what he essentially said. And Jamal retort was, well, what happens if my child end up being like you don't, not an ideal child? What if he end up like me? What if he end up like Andre? Will you be able to handle it? Because obviously Lucius have a big problem with actually accepting things not being perfect. And they flash back to Andre actually having that breakdown, and one of the, I guess, a doctor telling him that, look, your kid has like serious mental issues. And Lucius went off on him, went off on his wife back then. Obviously it was just a girlfriend then. Just went off and tell you better not tell nobody about this. They just biting off everybody's head. So, that was really cool. So Lucius went to Cookie, and Cookie was playing around with freaking Malcolm on the phone. Luckily, he didn't walk in on anything because she thought that Malcolm had cameras, and she was talking about giving him a show. I'm like, man, that'd be a cool wife to have. Somebody that sit there and give you those shows like that. Just cool. That would be a cool wife. But she telling him she ain't got no drawers on, and she in another sundress. I'm like, sweet mercy. But that's neither here nor there. But he walks in while she's doing it, and then she fulfilled all stereotypes. She act like it was a female friend on the phone. Girl, you don't have the grease hot enough. If you want to fry that chicken crispy, you better turn that grease up. Girl, bye. I was like, Lord, why you had that? Well, what the writer's doing with that? Come on, man. She couldn't have been making a smoothie. Oh, you got dog. She frying chicken. What about a smoothie? Like they make smoothies. But he went to go let her know again that, look, I want to marry you. Didn't get the words out, because then Hakeem comes in with his girlfriend Camilla and let him know, look, we got some hot stuff that we wanted to show you. Earlier in the show, Camilla was taking a lot of pictures of Hakeem, wanted to show her that. And then she's like, look, Camilla was like, look, Lucius, Hakeem got a hot sound. Go ahead and listen to this. So Lucius listens. Hakeem sit there and shot him some stuff that was, sounding like Drake up in here. I thought he was about to yell YOLO or something up in here. I didn't know what was going on, but it was a nice sounding song. And of course, that Lucius was like, oh, okay, cool. So he takes Camilla and brings her to his office and was like, hey, look, how much you need to get rid of, to stop bothering my son? Because I know you only after money, because I looked into your finances and you broke. You selling clothes off your back. You broke. And she was like, man, I love Hakeem. What you talking about, man? You're a horrible person. I don't want your money. And then they flash back to, Jamal trying to make sure he appease Lola, because Lola has problems going to sleep because she said the scary birds going to get her. And he was like, look, they ain't got no scary birds here. I'm going to protect you. Then he started doing this singing and stuff. He's singing and dancing. And, of course, that makes the baby feel good, the little chocolate little babies. It makes her feel good. And, she finally goes to sleep. And he does that several times in the episode, sometimes with the help of Hakeem. And, it was good seeing him trying to be a really good dad to the girl. So you go back to Camilla and Lucius. He writes her a check and was like, look, this is a check. I don't want to see you nowhere around my son. And he called Malcolm to escort her off the property. And she was like, I don't want your money. She rips up the check and throw it in his face. And then tell him some real foul stuff. Talking about she wanted him to have a torturous death, a painful death. Mentioning colostomy bags and everything. I was like, oh, that's vicious, Camilla. That's vicious. But you should at least looked at that check. I mean, you don't have to take it. You know what I'm saying? Stick to your moral, but at least look at the amount. I'm like, man, Lucius, you're a horrible person. Like these 25 million, with all these zeros and stuff on it, gonna make me not, all them zeros. Like it's. Hey, buy me off. Come to think of it, you can put some tape on that check, and it'll still be valid, Camilla. If you're looking at my video blog, you can put tape. Check's still good. It's still good. But she ended up ripping it up, throwing it in Lucius' face, saying some crude stuff to him. Gets escorted out by Malcolm. She crying in the limo. She really liked the dude, obviously, because if you broke and he giving you a check and then say when you once you away from my son, I'm gonna put another check in your account, and she don't take it. Obviously she really do like the dude. I think that was it was kind of a mess up time. But then it was time to sign the IPOs, and of course Andre's wife shows up, and he asks him why wasn't Andre there, and she let him know, look, you hurt his feelings. And then she's reading over the stuff and come to find out that they weren't getting what they were promised. And Lucius explained that he took all of those shares from them and gave them a lesser percentage because he wanted to give it to their mother, to Cookie. Cookie seemed kind of taken aback by that. But, she sat down and was listening. And then the lawyer pops in with Olivia and Reggie. And that's when stuff started turning kind of crazy. But before I mention that, they went and they flashed back to Andre being in a counseling session in a therapy session with Andre by herself. And the music therapy wasn't working, so she went and locked the door and went between his legs and said there's another type of, session that actually helps. And she put her head on his head, and he went in for the kiss, and she went in for the prayer. She said, we praying. And then I was like, dang, because, hey, I ain't gonna lie, J-Hud was rocking her dress too. And then I realized I needed prayer because I was looking forward to seeing her making out with the dude. That's a whole nother set of issues. Don't even worry about that part. But, Andre was like, look, you have to pray for me. I've never prayed. And, they started praying. So that was a really good point in the film. And then you flash back to them back at the studio where the IPO sign is supposed to happen. And Reggie takes off his jacket. And you see all of the tattoos on him. And Cookie looking, and she's like, hey, what's this tat? Come to find out he had a raven on his arm. Raven is a bird. Scary bird. It goes a full circle back to Lola and her fears. So Jamal like, wait a minute. Is this man hurt my baby? And Olivia let her know yes. So Reggie like, man, hurry up and get Lola. And Jamal run up on him like, no, you ain't doing nothing. Reggie pull out that gun. Stop everybody in tracks. Everybody, so Reggie start to explain and look. Olivia was my chick. You done knocked her up. All that type of stuff. I'm taking my chick. I'm taking my daughter. I don't believe you sat there and, impregnated my girl. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, but, she a chocolate chick. You're not going to do a DNA test? Bring an Amora or something, get that DNA test. It's free. They'll fly you out there. But, Jamal wasn't backing down. Say, look, you're going to shoot me. But, you're not taking this kid. Well, Lucius come out of nowhere and was like, look, shoot me. Truth of the matter is, I'm the father of Lola. What? Say, bruh, didn't I say last week you can't be sitting there being luscious, Lucius? You over there, Bro, scary bird, that should be you, Lucius. Man, your bird's scary. You plucking everything. I heard a pecking order, but that ain't what you're supposed to do with it, man. Come on, man. You knocking down everything, bro. Dang, bro, that's your kid. So it's not grandpa, it's dad. That was a big shot. He was like, look, shoot me. He started naming why you should shoot, why you should be shot. And you know, everybody around him, he pretty much hated him. Look, my sons hate me. Cookie hate me. Andre wife hate me. Hey, everybody hate me. Go ahead and just end it for me. That'd be cool. So Reggie ended up grabbing Cookie around the throat and was like, look, I don't know what's going on. Somebody gonna get shot. Give me Lola. Yada, yada, yada. Y'all come closer. I'm shooting Cookie. He gets popped in the head by Malcolm. Malcolm catch him dead center in the head. So everybody like, man, is that true? Cookie like, look, Lucius, I wish he would have shot your butt. And I mean, obviously that is a big reveal. I mean, wow. Good writing. But I'm still trying to figure out, and maybe because I didn't watch all of the other episodes, I know. But if that's a little pretty chocolate baby, how all these light-skinned folks made that chocolate baby? So, you know, comment on it. Let me know. Olivia sat there and let him know that she was trying to run from Reggie because Reggie said he was going to kill her and Lola. And the only place she could think of to make Lola safe was with Jamal. She wasn't trying to trick anybody. She actually was giving her up so that Lola could be safe. And Cookie understood sacrificing yourself for the sake of your children because she was in prison for 17 years, obviously for something that she probably wasn't a part of, you know, because Lucius even said that he allowed her to rot in prison for 17 years. So that was pretty much everything that was really, really cool happening that happened on Empire. Oh, no. One last thing. Lucius did actually get around to actually telling Cookie that he wanted to marry. And Cookie was like, boy, bye. Have all the seats at the Superdome. No, you're just afraid to die alone by yourself because Lucius is having medical issues of his own. And it looked like he doesn't have much time to live. So she thinks that he just want to, die with somebody familiar. So she ended up going and finding Malcolm and like, look, take me to some place secluded so we can talk. Obviously, they just want to talk. So comment, go to playtimecares.com, comment, let me know what it is that you think about my wrap-up. And, hey, I'm looking forward to it. Let's dialogue, people. Playtimecares.com. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. It's all Playtime Cares. So, hey, get at me.